All right, guys, I got out my SGL-20 to go over it and check things out and put some oil on it and whatnot. And I thought, hey, why not just start the camera so everyone can kind of watch what I do, just in case you want to see just basically things you want to look at and check when you get a gun out, because you want to do this every once in a while. I haven't fired this AK in quite a while, and you want to get things out, look things over, especially under a bright light, so you can see everything. That way, if there ever is a problem, if there's ever any little specks of surface rust forming, you can get that taken care of completely and right away. You don't want to let things linger. So I got a Surefire headlamp on that I use. And guys, I really love this. This is my Arsenal Saiga SGL-20. And it is 7.62 by 39, as you can see right there. And yes, it does have the 74 style muzzle brake, but it is 7.62 by 39. Very nice, very well put together gun. Luckily, I bought this before the prices started going crazy. I've had this one now since probably about 2010, so maybe 8 years I've had this now. It's very solid. Everything on it feels great. I mean, it's got a, I think they call it I can't remember the name of the finish, but it's something like hazardous condition finish. It's supposed to be an anti-rust, anti-corrosion finish that's applied to these at Arsenal in Las Vegas when they're shipped over here. And it really is a really nice, solid feeling rifle. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just chat with you, and we'll take this guy down. Try to make sure everything's on frame when I do this. And one thing, guys, about, like, you can get almost any AK out there down to the cheapest $300 AK. And just because of the design, they'll normally run all day. I mean, the ones these guys use in these other countries, that they're full auto, and they're just, you know, like the ones that the cheap Wassers, man, they run them things like mad in them other countries, and they just keep on ticking. But the one thing you'll find is that when you get a really, really higher quality AK, it's not that this functions any better than a cheap AK. It's just the fitment of the parts. Like that dust cover was just fit so precise. Nothing's sloppy. Everything is very, very neat and just works very well. And you find that as you go, like when you pull the bolt out and stuff, there's just little things there. You had to override the hammer to get that out of there. But you just find that the fit on things in the higher end AK, higher priced AK, there's just better fit and finish for the most part than the cheaper ones. So here's my bolt and plunger. That's all looking really good. See if I can show you into the chamber a little bit here. Chamber's looking pretty good as well. Let me get a light on here. So what I like to do is I like to just take something. You don't need anything huge. You don't need anything massive. I just like take some gun oil. I'll wipe things down. This is just Lucas gun oil. It's not a CLP. They do have a CLP, but this is just the gun oil. So I'll just go ahead and I'll put some on these parts, and I'll wipe them down. And just give them a... You don't have to leave the excess. You just wipe over them and then wipe off the excess. It gets down into the little crevices of the steel and stuff. So, you don't have to do a whole lot. You just want to wipe it over and then wipe off the excess. And just to make sure that everything is coated and everything is good to go. Now I'm just going to wipe over some of the exterior parts and down into some of the interior parts. I'm going to put, this is really nice to use, guys, for when you get into the little springs down in there around the trigger. Comes in handy for that. But you want to keep everything oiled up, especially pay special attention to like the sights here. Let me get some of this rubbed on here. Like on the sights here, this is a different kind of steel, and it's not treated like the firearm itself. You want to pay close attention to things like this. This, if anything's going to rust, or start to get surface rust, it's going to be things like this that'll do it first. Your secondary metal parts. All of your main parts that have the hostile finish, I think that's what it's called, hostile environment finish, they're going to be okay like this right here, but I'm still going to wipe over it anyway, just to give it that, you know, just to give it that little bit of oil and a little bit more added protection. With the different weather and changing of seasons and stuff, it's always good to do this. It won't, it can't hurt anything. Just take some time, that's all. Now I'm going to flip it over and just go ahead and wipe over the other side here. Nothing special, guys. Just all you're doing is getting a thin layer of oil coated over everything, and then you're wiping all the excess off. It gets down into the pores of the steel, and like this little mag release here, you want to especially hit stuff like that. Different kind of steel. You don't want to ever pull this out and see a layer of rust on something, and then you really got to work at it to get it off. Now, like I said, guys, what I like to do is I like to come in here where the springs are around the trigger and just give a little bit of oil in there, and then when I put this back together, I'll work the trigger a little bit to get that oil work down in. Nothing big. You don't have to go crazy with it, but it's good to do that, just to keep oil in there. You always want to do your dust cover as well, guys. This is one of the things that you would be more likely to pull out and see, oh, there's a little bit of surface rust on. Always use a bright light. If you have dark parts like this, a little bit of speckling that starts where you can get rid of it real easy will not show under normal room lighting. You need a bright light to look down in here, and you'll see it contrast with the black. But just in a normal light setting, you won't see it if there's any in there. Now this is also coated with that hostile environment finish, or whatever it is they call it. So, this thing's is gonna stay good. I probably don't even have to do this, but it's just added protection, guys. These guns aren't cheap, and I like to try to keep them as, it's an investment. They're an investment. So I want to keep this as nice as I can. Just gives me peace of mind, and whether it needs it or not, I'm gonna do it. Alright guys, so I saw that the inside of the barrel is nice and shiny, the bore's nice and clean, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil just on a patch and run it through the barrel just to coat the lands and the grooves and just to give it that nice preservative. So if I don't fire this thing for a while, I know everything will be fine. The gun was cleaned previously, but even though it was cleaned, you still want to keep up on your oiling and your preservative for the barrel. So I'm just kind of saturating a patch down that is going to put a whole layer of oil down the barrel. The end of this is getting caught up in the muzzle brake at the end here. So to run it through this way is going to save me a lot of grief, and it's not going to hurt anything to run the patch this way. Now if it were a brass brush, you should run it from muzzle or from chamber to muzzle end, but with this worked just fine. Got a little bit of dirt on it, but nothing big. So I'll go ahead and run it through a little bit more. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take some Hoppe's number 9 down through the bore, just to be on the safe side. You know, it's only going to take me a couple of minutes. I've got the gun apart. Better safe than sorry. And that's all I can say about that. It probably doesn't have to have this done right now. But always err on the side of caution, especially when you got it out and things are taken apart and everything. Why not? So we'll see if we get any more black out of it. And then we'll let this sit in the barrel for a while. Yes, I did. I got some black out. So that's why I do this. That's what came out of the bore. Now I will leave the Hoppe soak in there for a few minutes, and I'll go through with a clean dry patch and pull until, until the stuff comes out of there. All right, guys, I'm going to follow through with a dry patch, and this should be enough, I would imagine, to be good. I looked down the bore, and it literally, absolutely looks like a mirror in there. I looked from both angles, and I was very impressed with the way the bore looks. Very happy. So this is just a regular dry patch that's going to come through here. No cleaner, no lube, no nothing as of right now. Once it's clean, you want to take a patch of oil through. Whatever oil you use, it doesn't matter. I use Lucas, but you can use whatever. It doesn't matter. Got a little bit coming out. So I'll run this through again, but it's very, very minimal. And, I don't know how many patches you could pull out with that on there. It's just minimal light gray. So we're not doing bad at all with that. All right, guys, this one is ready to put back together. The bore was very nice and clean. No issues there at all. Very happy with this gun. Very pleased with it. I'll have to get some videos for you guys shooting it and having some fun outdoors. Parts fit very well, connect, lock in very nicely, and I've gotten, there's no issues or anything there with any of that. I didn't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and just wipe over this spring just a hair. Okay, now we're ready to put the recoil spring back in. That. Now the dust cover, everything has been wiped. Everything's been wiped nice and dry of all the excess oil, and everything is good to go. And there's that little smack at the end, and there it is, guys. There it is. Arsenal SGL 20. All right, guys, catch you later.